Keefer's Corner with Coach Dan Keefer. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Looking back at last week, played Osceola on Friday and didn't go the way that we wanted. Any recaps for that game? Anything that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, we have to kind of get over the hump, like making one more play. I thought there's always a handful of plays in the game that really determine the outcome. And I look at at the end of the half, giving up a score in the last play of the half, not ideal for anybody. We come out with a real nice onside kick again by Davis, and we recover it. We got a little momentum going. Get a very unfortunate personal foul penalty that hopefully we learn from. And we are forced to try a field goal. Davis misses a field goal. It's a long kick. We get a stop. Wyatt Larson makes a terrific block on the Palmia, awesome. And we recover it, was around the 2-yard line. And you got 4 cracks to get it done. And we weren't able to do it. On each one of those plays, we had a different thing go wrong. But, a pretty big mistake to prevent us from getting in. I believe that if we were in that situation ever again, I feel like that's something that we'll be able to overcome. But you take those two things, giving up that score, that's a 14-point swing in the game. And that gives you a chance, and then, we did give up 2 long runs and we gave up way too many big plays. But I really think the margin for error, we're not far away is what I'm trying to get at. We're not far away from playing some really good football, but you can't be giving up the big plays that we have. So,
which is funny because right before I hit record, I said I took notes. I had some notes this time.
Yeah.
So my second bullet point was the 2 big points at the game, the score before half and the block punt.
Yep.
Because that, like you said,
they were huge.
14 points basically twice because we had a nice run going there in the half.
We did.
Interception, they score.
Yeah.
Get the block punt, didn't score, then they score.
Yeah.
Because 28 points is a lot, and you used to talk about that. I'm sure you still do with the players. How, every play is important, but there's a handful of plays that decide the outcome of the game.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And you don't know in time when those plays are.
Exactly.
You look back at them and you say, these are the plays.
Exactly. Yeah, we got to take advantage of it.
Another thing that I have on here about Friday, we saw 2 quarterbacks play. Mason probably took a few more snaps.
Yeah,
I think overall than Wyatt. Both those guys offer different skill sets.
Yeah.
Their strengths are different. Their weaknesses are different. What did you think about those 2 guys on Friday night?
Well, I think both of them are, number one, they're both really good kids, and they both give you everything they got, and that's a really big deal. I think Wyatt, I look at some of his strengths of he's a really accurate passer. When given time, he can be extremely accurate. Mason probably has a little bit bigger arm. We're trying to get him comfortable. Mason maybe gives us a little bit more in the run game. So they both kind of have their strengths, and both have been really good. Attitudes have been very positive with the players. Both are encouraging each other. I've not picked up on any animosity between the two, which is it's a team first attitude, which is great.
And I think it probably helped last year too when Wyatt was out.
Right.
Mason was the guy that stepped in, so they already had that rapport.
Right.
Working together.
Right.
I'm not going to ask you what your plans are for tomorrow in case some Prescott people decide they're going to watch us. We're going to keep the cards close to the vest. Do you recall Friday's players of the game, who they were?
Yeah, I believe I can do this. Our defensive player of the game was Wyatt Larson with the block punt, and he played on more special teams as well. I believe our offensive player of the game, I believe, was Keegan, and the defensive player of the game was I believe it was Eli Coonan. I'm pretty sure it was Coonan.
Okay. So Wyatt was special teams.
Special teams.
Okay, you said defense, but that makes sense.
Oh yeah. Wyatt was special teams. Yeah.
So what did Eli play defensively? He was playing.
He actually played D tackle, and he had a handful of tackles for loss, and he does some really good things.
He hasn't been a huge contributor defensively up to this point, has he?
he played more defensive snaps. We just did a couple things based on what Osceola did, to try to be a little bit bigger up front. And then we also have, some injuries that we're juggling and trying to get our best 11 on the field. So there were a couple little changes. So yeah, he was playing a new position. He's played quite a lot of DN for us and rotated in significantly, but we really thought he did a nice job in what we asked him to do last week.
How's your overall health at this point?
Well, like everybody, there are people that are kind of dinged up. Cal Smith is on the shelf for a while with a hip injury, and we're going to make sure that he's 100% before we get him back. And he's been, somewhat limited throughout a good part of the season. And we continue to have Dylan Venedal, who is a sophomore. We're really excited about Dylan. He's had a back issue, and we're trying to nurse him back. Brighton Lochterman also has a little knee thing that he's working through. So that's kind of some new stuff. But we got a couple guys that are fighting some muscle pulls too. So we'll see. Some of those are a little bit up in the air. If they're going to be actually ready for Friday. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
Okay. Did we go to Osceola Monday for JV?
We did.
How'd that go?
Not the way we hoped it would. I believe we lost 36-6.
Okay.
I think they had a pretty good unit, but it wasn't our best performance. Of course, it was an early start. I was unable to attend that game. That's the first JV game I was not able to get to this year. So I didn't see it firsthand. But the report was, we had some success, but it wasn't a great game for us.
So fast forwarding now to this week, we have Prescott, and historically, we've done well against Prescott. Also historically, Prescott's been a tough place to play for whatever reason. You think back to our very successful years, going there, closer games than we maybe anticipated. I feel like they were a younger team last year too. The two guys I remember from last year was their quarterback Grant Stanton and running back Aiden Russell. I think last year we played them the first game of the year, or early in the year.
Earlier.
I mean, it was obviously a weird year.
Mm-hmm.
Since we held Russell to like 38 yards rushing, he's just been unbelievable.
Yeah,
he's putting up
he's
huge
an impressive
numbers.
kid. Yeah, number 11 is Aiden Russell, and he runs hard. He's a nice sized kid, and they're good up front. I mean, Prescott's a good team. I mean, they're undefeated in the middle border for a reason. The quarterback is an effective thrower. He's a scary runner. He's definitely a dual threat. He's a good player. Number 7 is a nice player too, and they're good up front. They're a good. That's a pretty good outfit right there.
7's a receiver, right?
Yeah, he plays. He kind of plays the H back.
Okay.
He will catch the ball, but he's a physical, good blocker at the point of attack, and they use him pretty effectively.
Because Stanton, I think, did more damage against us last year. The quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
number 2,
Mm-hmm.
I think is his number.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But this year he's throwing the ball more, ran the ball a little bit
Yeah,
less.
they're in a totally different offense this year.
Okay.
They're more spread stuff. I would compare a lot of the things they're doing are similar to what we did in 2019. They probably do a little. I'd say it's pretty similar, really. A lot of similarities between what they're doing and what we did in 19. They're a good team. I mean, they're playing good defense. They got I would say this year they got a lot of seniors that are. It's a pretty senior rich team.
And Prescott's always had a ton of really good athletes.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't always had a ton of those good athletes playing football.
Correct.
And I think Aiden Russell's one of those kids that I remember him from JV basketball as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of the few kids. Now it seems like there's a few more kids playing football that play basketball, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of their phenomenal athletes on the basketball court have never
And I think part of that too, talking with Coach Hansen over there, he made a change to try to previously they were like a 2 tight end wishbone, doing stuff that they did at Somerset under Bruce Larson when they were very effective, and Jordan brought that in to Prescott, and he just felt like with the community of Prescott, he didn't think that was a great fit, And that was kind of his thinking behind moving to some more spread concepts, thinking that we have a lot of athletes, but they don't want to play.
Absolutely.
They don't want to play hand it off, get 3 yards, hand it off, 3 yards. I mean, that football can be very effective. A lot of people don't understand that. But what they're doing, they've been really, they look good. They're a good football team.
So we're 5. This will be game 6. So
Yes.
I guess I said week 5 earlier. But
Yeah.
Week 6. Are there guys that stick out right away of your players that have exceeded your expectations coming into the year? Is there a handful of guys maybe that pop right up?
Yeah, I would say there are. One that has been really solid throughout the year would be Noah Sarar, a sophomore kid who is playing both ways, and he's playing at a high level. And we were hopeful that he could do it, and you wanted him to be good, but no, you see him competing, and you're like, hey, that guy's, he has a lot of the younger guys have really shown that they can play. Cal Smith was, I thought, really a difference maker for us on D. Of course, he's a little bit compromised right now. And I see a lot of those young guys that are coming. I think guys like Keegan has had some phenomenal games where he has really shown that he is like one of the best players in the area, and we want that to be consistent because he can cut it loose. So that's been good. I really think Clay Lawrence has had a really nice year too. Clay is a 100% team guy. Playing tackle, a little bit out of position, but he's really good at it and does a phenomenal job for us at the end as well. So I mean, those guys I would say have really, they've probably exceeded some expectations. I also would probably mix in that Mason Werner at free safety. He really thought Mason was going to be good, but boy, he's really good.
Okay, now on this next question, I want you to go Jim Moran on me. But the whole setup of the state has changed in the last couple of years as far as how we're going to see teams go into the postseason. It's always been kind of a crapshoot before because you've had conferences with 10 teams, you've had conferences with 5 teams. So you have a number of teams that get into the playoffs maybe at 2-2 or 3-2. This year with the revamping of the whole setup, we're going to have 8-team conferences or 7 teams with a crossover. So we're going to play 7 conference games exclusively in the state of Wisconsin.
Yes.
There's going to be no more 500 teams, right? I mean, that's how math works. So to find 224 above 500 teams in 49 conferences, that's not necessarily how math works. Has that been something that you've brought up to the guys, or is this something we're not talking about? I mean, if you have to be 500 to make the playoffs, that means we got to finish with 4 straight wins. And really, back against the wall, we got to go after.
That's what we have talked about. I mean, the most likely scenario is that you got to win the next 4 to get in the playoffs.
That guarantees you a spot.
And we're really focused on winning the game right now.
Right.
I mean, because if we don't win this game,
right.
I'm sure there is a mathematical possibility that a 3-4 team could get in. I'm not sure what that chance is going to be.
And I don't know how these computers
right
select teams. I mean, before it was pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
I love to go down the thing and
right.
try to figure out exactly how everything's going to play out.
Yeah. Well, we can control our destiny by taking care of. I mean, this is a huge game for us.
Right.
Every game's a huge game. That never changes. But in terms of winning against Prescott would be huge for number one, our team's confidence and our whole outlook. Moving forward. This is not disrespectful, I don't think, to anybody. But the front end of our schedule has been the tougher part of it. Playing Ellsworth, playing Osceola are both. They're really good teams. Yeah. And I would put Prescott right in that mix. And on paper at least, it looks like our other opponents have not had the same success. Not to say that they're not good football teams or can't be hard to beat, because I guarantee you that nothing's going to be easy.
Right. But I think from a numbers perspective,
yeah,
the teams that middle border teams that you've played at this point have 9 conference wins. The 4 middle border teams that you haven't played at this point have 1 conference win.
Exactly. So that's the point.
Including Prescott in the teams you played.
Right.
Okay, so this is a that's a playoff game. That's how we're presenting it. Moving on from high school football to college football. Badgers didn't play last week, but they do play Saturday at Soldier Field.
Yeah.
Against the Fighting Irish.
That'll be exciting. That'll be a fun game. Excited to just see. Wisconsin's played such a good run defense, and Notre Dame has struggled a bit to run the ball. And I think if Wisconsin can make it a one-dimensional game, then I feel pretty good about Wisconsin's chances. Now, the thing that we're not completely clear on is what is Wisconsin going to be like offensively. I mean, we know what they're going to do, but are they going to be able to move the ball?
Right.
I would think that they're going to try to establish the run, but hopefully they got to take some more shots. I think down. They got to make people pay for loading the box, and I don't know that they've really done it yet. They weren't able to make Penn State pay, and with Eastern Michigan, they just could kind of do what they wanted to, and they threw it, but they kept it pretty close to the vest. So I would expect that it's a big game for both programs. Wisconsin certainly recruits against Notre Dame quite often, and I think that's a big game for the Badgers, big game for Notre Dame. So that'll be a lot of excitement, and one that I'll be certainly excited to watch.
And how often in the history of Badger football has one of their multi-year starting quarterbacks then started for an opposing team?
Yeah,
I guess never.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. But one thing you can tell is there is a genuine respect and almost admiration for Jack Cohn. Because I think he's a tough guy and was a really good teammate. And you can just tell by the comments. It's they helped the kid move. When he announced he was in the transfer portal. So there's a lot of guys that still consider Jack Cohn a pretty good friend. That doesn't mean you don't want to beat him worse than anything in the world. But I do think that there's a lot of respect there.
They're probably more motivated to beat a buddy of theirs than a random. I mean,
Yeah.
You're going to be motivated either way. But
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay, last question for you. Looking at Monday night, the Packers look better. First question I got to ask, did you watch the ESPN version or the far superior Manning telecast on ESPN2?
I'm a huge fan of the Manning stuff. Those guys it's just so entertaining. But I flip back because I can't watch they're too entertaining. I want to watch the game. So I flipped it back. If it's a normal Monday night, I'll be watching Peyton and Eli every time. But the Packers, I get it. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the honest answer. I mean, I started and then I said, dang it, I like these guys, but I got to go back to the other one for the Packer game.
Yep.
Now, if it's whoever plays this Monday, I'll be back to the beginning.
Did you watch the Manning telecast right before halftime when the Lions were driving and Peyton's going crazy because of the coverage the Packers are in?
No.
That's just it's good sports.
I'm sure.
He's so intelligent and just recognizing what's happening on the field so quickly. I mean, he did it really well for so long.
Yeah.
Okay, I had to ask you that, but now tell me about the Packer team.
Well, the Packers are going to be good on offense. We have no doubt about that. But defensively, it has not been good. I'm trying to roll through my mind. Did they ever get a stop when there wasn't like a penalty, or when Detroit didn't just drop the ball? Like an unforced turnover. I mean, so they got some work to do there. It's a new coordinator. It'll take a little time, but it's the NFL, so they don't give you much time. So hopefully they can get it straightened out. I think they're really missing Zadarius Smith. The pass rush obviously has been.
And they get another nationally televised game Sunday night.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, before we sign off, anything else you want to add before tomorrow night's game?
No, we're just it's tough when you've lost three in a row. Our focus is trying to be positive. All the coaches, everybody feels it when you lose. It's hard on players, it's hard on coaches, it's hard on parents, it's hard on everybody. But you got to stay positive throughout it all, and I think that's I felt like we've had a really nice week of practice. Let's make a transfer and play like we're capable of on Friday, and that would a win Friday would be a really big thing for us to straighten this season out and having it end the way we'd like it to.
Well, thank you and good luck tomorrow.
Hey, thanks.